Sometimes, especially when you are inexperienced, you are young, you can do things that in the end you say, wow, I did that and I shouldn't. And then time doesn't go back, so when you feel that you made a mistake, you cannot go and do it again. But I always think that when you leave out a player with a big status, I think you gamble not just your credibility, but I think you also gamble the stability. You know, they can help or they can disturb the balance of a team.
We see the system. Mazraoui, as you mentioned, Dallo was the wing-backs. In your back five, that's fine. But look at this guy here, Mazraoui here, now. So he's on the other side. Again, he's thinking like a full-back. He should be in front of his attacking player there on his bike because you've got the three centre-backs behind you to give you that cover. So now, the pass here should be for the wing-back. But he's still thinking he's a full-back, Mazraoui on this side. But again, Dallo has to make that run. The manager wants, he has to make that run and penetrate. And that's the big problem with these two playing at wing-back.
I understand that and I accept. So it's not a record that you should have in Manchester United. There are a lot of things that you have no idea what happened during these months, but I accept that. But I'm not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man. So, and we will talk about that every game that we lose. I don't believe in that in the system or whatever. So I play my way, and I'm going to play my will until I want to change.
Amorim has stepped right into the heart of the Manchester United curse.
Joke apart, we did the best we could do.
You still believe that, yeah? That it's the best?
Of course I believe, and nobody did better. Yeah. Not the best achievement, because I always feel that the best achievement is when you bring the cup and you go home, or with a cup or with a medal. But was a hell of a job, you know, in the first season. To win Europa League was great, to qualify for Champions League was great too. And you look at the team that played.
That endless spiral where no manager has survived the weight of Old Trafford since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson.
You put it down to?
I remember when I came to United, and whoever I met there, everybody was talking about how Fergie would do it, Ferguson. This would not happen with Ferguson. This Ferguson would not do. And I was like, listen, I don't care what happened before. I'm here to do my own story.
The parade of coaches has been brutal. David Moyes lasted only 295 days. Ryan Giggs a mere 68. Louis van Gaal stayed 679 days, long enough to deliver flashes of order but not salvation. Jose Mourinho, the self-proclaimed special one, held on for 900 days before he too was consumed.
I told in some interview that the second position was one of my biggest achievements, and maybe there is a chance of we win that league, no?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the club legend, resisted 1,068 days before reality crushed nostalgia. Michael Carrick's spell barely scratched 12 days. Ralph Rangnick's Professor experiment collapsed after 179, and Erik ten Hag, hailed as a saviour, survived 850 days, only to leave behind numbers that haunted more than inspired. And now, Amorim joins this graveyard of names, with history watching closely. Contrast all that failure with the last true monarch of Old Trafford, Sir Alex Ferguson. The Scotsman ruled for 9,733 days, nearly 3 decades of empire. In that time, he sculpted Manchester United into the greatest club in England. 13 Premier League titles, 2 Champions League crowns.
5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 10 Charity Community Shields, 1 European Cup Winners' Cup, 1 European Super Cup, 2 Champions League titles, Intercontinental Cup, 1 FIFA Club World Cup, and 13 Premier League titles. The impossible dream made possible by the greatest British manager ever, Sir Alex Ferguson.
5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 10 Community Shields, a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, a UEFA Super Cup, an Intercontinental Cup, and a FIFA Club World Cup and Honours Board that still overshadows anything the modern United has managed to scrape together. Ferguson turned the club into a dynasty, a religion, a standard that every manager since has chased and failed to touch. Meanwhile, across the city, Pep Guardiola has raised his own empire in sky blue. Since 2016, he has conquered 18 trophies with Manchester City, 6 Premier Leagues, a Champions League, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, a Club World Cup, a UEFA Super Cup, and 3 Community Shields. The balance of power shifted, while United sank. And since Ferguson's farewell in 2013, only 7 titles for United, scattered like crumbs across a decade of mediocrity. A Community Shield under Moyes, an FA Cup with Van Gaal, 2 trophies with Mourinho, including a Europa League, and scrapped since. The picture is clear. The biggest club in England has lived in a permanent hangover. Managers walk in full of promise, only to walk out broken, muttering that what lies behind the curtains of Carrington is far worse than anyone imagines. Amorim is living that same nightmare, but the question is brutal. Is he a victim of the curse, or is he failing himself with a stubborn system that refuses to bend?
You just said earlier that you believe in these players, and maybe some people here do not. But didn't these players get Ten Hag the sack? Isn't that the reason he's no longer at the club? Because the team was down in 13th or 14th, they couldn't win, they couldn't play, they couldn't keep hold of the ball, like you sort of just said then. So how can you believe in players who basically have failed so badly for the last gentleman?
It's a belief, like the word. You have to believe, and I believe in them, because when I start this week, you can say that is 1 week, 3 trainings. They change the coach. Of course, everybody is excited, but they are open to a different things. Is the only thing that I ask: hard work, and you have to believe in the new idea. And I felt that. So until they prove me wrong, I believe in the players.
Here's the reality. Ten Hag averaged 1.72 points per match. Amorim sits at just 0.97. United went from their worst manager on paper to one even worse. Is that enough to sack him now? The answer is a resounding no. Mourinho once warned of football heritage.
They are investments from the past, not from the last 2 years, from the past. Do you know where are many of United players that left the club last season? See where they play. Where they play, how they play, if they play.
And that is exactly what Amorim inherited. Broken processes, poor decisions, and a decade of mismanagement. He is trying to clean something rotten for years, and firing him now would only mean repeating the same mistakes. Many of you will think keeping him is madness, but let's look at the facts. Ruben Amorim has fallen into the Manchester United curse.
Earlier, this United team, they lacked that real quality. They struggle defensively, the midfield. Run about United breaking the press, but when teams get United look all over the place. I think they're just United are an average team, an average Premier League team. The stats will tell you that, and I'm going back to last season as well.
Where time simply does not exist. Ineos may have voiced their support and promised continuity, but the Portuguese coach has already run out of time. You might be thinking, hold on, it's only been 4 league games. Yes, just 4 matches into the new Premier League season, but let's not forget what happened last year. United finished 15th, only 3 points away from relegation, in their worst season in history, conceding the most goals, scoring the fewest, losing the most matches. It was humiliation week after week, and that's the version of United Amorim inherited.
We are being the worst team, maybe, in history of Manchester United. I know that you want headlines, but I'm saying that because we have to acknowledge that and to change that. So here we go, your headlines.
So why was he kept? 2 reasons. First, what we've already explained, football heritage, as Mourinho once called it. The rot at United runs deeper than any single man in the dugout, and Amorim is slowly trying to clean it up. Second, his own precedent at Sporting. When he arrived from Braga, the Lisbon side were in ruins, no league title in 19 years, stuck in mediocrity. He finished his first half season in 4th place, then ripped the dressing room apart. Big names were shown the door, deadweight was cleared, sound familiar? Rashford out, Antony out, Højlund out, Sancho out, Onana out. The same purge is happening in Manchester. And what happened in Portugal? The very next season, boom, Sporting were champions, curse broken, 19 years erased in a single campaign. But let's be real, what has United produced so far under Amorim? Celebrations for a defeat against Arsenal at Old Trafford because the team played well, a draw against Fulham, a League Cup humiliation against a 4th division side, 97 minutes needed to scrape past Burnley with a Fernandes penalty, and then Pep Guardiola's City tore them apart coldly, clinically, to drop United into 14th place. After seeing all this, who can honestly say continuity makes sense? And here comes the $1 million question. Should Amorim be sacked? The answer remains no. 2 reasons again. First, goals. At Sporting, Amorim's football unleashed an avalanche of goals. Victor Gyökeres alone scored 97 across 2 seasons. United have invested £200 million in attack to do exactly that. Brian Mbeumo, who destroyed his expected goals charts with Brentford last year, scoring 20 in a small club.
Meanwhile, Diogo Dalot into the penalty area. He's going to try and get across the way to Mbeumo! Manchester United retake the lead, And the advantage for Burnley lasted less than 30 seconds. Diogo Dalot fizzes a ball in, and Brian Mbeumo scores his first goal at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Burnley 1.
Matheus Cunha, proven Premier League quality, explosive, dynamic, and the best long-distance scorer in the league. And Benjamin Šeško, one of the brightest young strikers in Europe. Fast, powerful, ruthless, scoring all types of goals.
For Leipzig, Šeško with a cannonball. That was hit with such venom, such authority. Not even two goalkeepers would have kept that one out.
That investment has to explode under Amorim's guidance. Second, he must reset his system. The evidence is clear. The current setup is broken. Playing Manchester United like it's sporting is like driving a car full speed towards a cliff without brakes. Different league, different quality of rivals, different levels of intensity and pressure. If Amorim refuses to adapt, he's finished. His system has already been exposed, and what comes next will show exactly how. Amorim must change his system because what he has tried so far simply doesn't work. Wayne Rooney said it loud and clear in his recent comments. I want to be as supportive and positive as I can be on the manager and the players, but it is very difficult to sit here and say we are seeing progression, and at least we're seeing things that will get results in the near future. I think after the last year, when Ten Hag got sacked and Ruben came in, we're hearing how they're going to play, and it is going to change. I think if the manager is honest with himself, it has got worse. Harsh words, but they reflect reality. 31 points in 31 matches. It's shocking to think that under Amorim, Manchester United have produced even worse numbers than under his predecessors, and City exposed everything. United tried to fight in midfield, to bait the press and then send the ball wide, but the plan lacked intensity and broke down. When they reached the final third, they were second best in every duel. Without the ball, the team collapsed. There was no compact shape, no coordination, and City punished them with every transition. Stopping Haaland is already one of the hardest tasks in football, but allowing him several clean runs is pure tactical suicide. The third goal summed it up. Mistakes on every level, all in a matter of seconds. Ugarte's sloppy sideways pass, Shaw losing the ball, Maguire's poor clearance, and Bernardo Silva feeding Haaland in open space with no one between him and Bayindir. That goal was the perfect picture of United's crisis. They need enormous effort to create chances, while their opponents need almost nothing to tear them apart. So the question hangs in the air: does Amorim have the courage and the intelligence to fix this? Or will he keep forcing a system that looks like a one-way road to disaster? There are two ways of looking at this situation. The first is more forgiving, treating the City defeat as just the fourth match of a new campaign, one where external factors have played a role. Injuries to Matheus Cunha, Mason Mount and Diogo Dalot have taken away three of Amorim's most trusted weapons, players who give United that mix of athleticism and balance between carrying the ball forward and defending transitions. Every side suffers injuries, of course, but when a coach is still trying to implement his system, losing key ball carriers and mobile defenders makes the whole process far more complicated. The numbers don't flatter him. 4 points from 4 games is United's worst league start since 1992 to 93.
And trust me, this is all on Ruben Amorim. Because he knows this, but yet he continues in this stubborn attitude of doing the same thing. I honestly think he's a couple of games away from A, the players throwing him under the bus with all these leaks, because we know it's going to happen, or B, Ineos having to give him a single ticket back to Portugal because he's out his depth.
Do you think he cares?
He should.
I feel like at a stage now he's like, I'm not changing, sack me if you want.
Yet there are moments, little sparks, where you can see progress. And inside Old Trafford, there is still no appetite to pull the trigger now. The belief remains that once Amorim has his best players available every week, the rhythm will improve, and what looks like a collapse today will be remembered as nothing more than a rough start. After all, Aston Villa and several other members of the Premier League's so-called middle class are also stumbling, meaning this slow opening is frustrating, yes, but not fatal. The second perspective is far more brutal. It sees Sunday's collapse as Amorim's 20th defeat in 47 matches, counting the 2 penalty shootout exits. 31 points from 31 games, that's his record in the league. Cold numbers that paint the picture of a coach struggling to find consistency. His 3-4-3 formation has layers, but it does not seem to maximise the qualities of his best men, nor hide their flaws. When a system is exposing rather than protecting, the questions get louder.
When Ruben Amorim first came, I was quite heartened by the fact that he was going to play 3 at the back, because I felt that they didn't have 2 centre-backs that were good enough to play in a 4. But every single time I watch Manchester United, he changes the back 3 every single game, which tells you he's not sure about which back 3 he should play. And he doesn't just change the back three, he changes the back five. So you either have different wing backs or you have different centre backs. I mean, the amount of times you see Dillick go over to the right hand side, Maguire coming on, every single match. So look, system, no system, there are a lot of individual errors out there today as well. Luke Shaw had one of his worst games that I've seen him have. He's had a pretty decent start to the season, but all 3 goals.
And how can anyone justify going into a Manchester derby with a plan that left wing-back Patrick Dorgu recorded more touches inside the opponent's box 12 than Brian Mbeumo with 9 and Bruno Fernandes with none? That says it all. Amorim's United approach games as if they are rehearsals, not battles where points, pride and history are at stake. Supporters cling to hope as they always do, but right now there is little tangible evidence that this United side is being prepared properly for the weekly storm the Premier League throws at them. Ruben Amorim has always been a man of convictions, and when he says he won't change, history shows he truly means it. Since he first took charge of Sporting in 2020, he has lined up his teams with a back 3 in 189 consecutive league matches, never once betraying his tactical faith. His favourite version of the system, the 3-4-2-1, has been his blueprint in 119 of those games, while a 3-4-3 has been used on 68 occasions, and only twice has he deviated into a 3-5-2. That's not stubbornness, that's obsession.
I just think his system is the problem.
His system.
I've said it from day one.
Do you know what he is yet, Amorim?
Well, yeah, because he sticks to the same system. They've tweeted against Arsenal.
Would you like to have played for him?
I wouldn't like to play in that system as a midfielder. No chance.
Would you like to play for him? Would you like? Do you like hearing it? Do you like his demeanour, the cut of his jib?
He's warm and charismatic. You can't help but like him. From a footballing perspective, that system, it's not going to work.
Why?
What midfielder at Manchester United has progressed in that system under him? They've all digressed. Every one of them's been hammered. And the reason is because if you play 2 in the middle of the park in any system, whether it be a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, if you've only got 2 in the middle, you're going to get overrun and look troubled.
Well, do you know what, Danny? You make such a point there. I'll jump in on that because Danny suggests
Mainoo's been hammered, Casemiro's been hammered.
The midfielders have regressed.
Agate's been hammered. Bruno's been hammered playing in that role. Bruno's more of a full.
And now, Kobe Mainoo, for one, his future remains in doubt. He's yet to get on the pitch for the club this season. So your point's a good one. Do you think he's got a long-term future at United under Amorim, Kobe Mainoo?
Well, he's never going to play ahead of Bruno unless Bruno's injured or they've got a little cup game like tonight. He might put him in. So it's funny how
guy, like not that long ago, he was scoring the winners in an FA Cup final, playing for England in the Euros final.
He's a very talented young lad who can play in a couple of different positions in midfield. What he's suggesting is, because he's not defensively great, if he's going to play him in midfield as a 2, he's going to have to play where Bruno is because he needs a defensive one next to him.
At Sporting, this rigidity looked like genius. 2 Primera Liga titles in 4 years, a revolution in Lisbon, and the aura of one of Europe's brightest young coaches. But the reality at Manchester United could not be more different. In the Premier League, where speed, intensity, and physicality stretch every weakness, Amorim's 3-4-2-1 has been ripped apart. His win rate has collapsed from a dazzling 77.2% at Sporting to just 25.8% at Old Trafford, the lowest in the entire history of Manchester United managers. The numbers are brutal: 31 points in 31 games, 16 defeats compared to only 8 wins. They sit bottom of the table if you look only at ever-present Premier League teams since Amorim arrived. That is not the standard of Manchester United. That is not the standard of any team that wants to compete for Europe, let alone titles. And yet Amorim stands firm, clinging to the system that once made him a hero in Portugal, but has turned him into a liability in England. What once brought him admiration and trophies now looks like an anchor dragging United deeper into crisis. The league has moved in one direction, but Amorim refuses to follow, which raises the real question: just how rare is his loyalty to this back 3, and why does it leave him isolated in the Premier League? In today's Premier League, the landscape of tactics has shifted in ways that do not favour Ruben Amorim's philosophy. The dominant shape across England is now the 4-2-3-1, a formation that provides balance, defensive cover, and attacking fluidity. The once iconic 4-4-2 has all but vanished, while the 4-3-3 has steadily risen in usage, cementing itself as the structure of choice for many of the league's most competitive sides, even if its popularity has dipped slightly in the past 2 seasons. The story of Amorim's beloved 3-4-2-1 is a curious one. For years it was virtually absent in England, considered too risky and too fragile for the pace of the Premier League. Its sudden surge into relevance can be traced back to Antonio Conte's Chelsea in 2016/17, when the Italian shocked England by winning the title with it, proving that a back 3 could dominate in a league built on aggression and chaos. Since then, the system has found new believers, but it has never become the default. In fact, the current peak of its usage owes almost everything to Amorim's stubborn devotion rather than a genuine tactical revolution across the league. He has deployed a back three in every single one of his 31 Premier League games, standing almost alone in a competition where back fours still rule the land. Crystal Palace and Wolves are the only other clubs to flirt consistently with a similar setup, but neither has pushed the system as relentlessly as Amorim. The result is that Manchester United remain outliers, fighting in a league that has evolved in a different tactical direction. And in football, being the odd one out is rarely a recipe for long-term success, which leads us to the uncomfortable truth. The structural flaws inside Amorim's system, the cracks that keep widening and threatening to bring his entire project down. Crystal Palace's fairy tale under Oliver Glasner, lifting the FA Cup and booking a ticket to Europe with a fraction of Manchester United's budget, proves beyond doubt that a 3-4-2-1 can thrive in today's Premier League. The system itself is not doomed. The real question is, why is it collapsing at Old Trafford under Ruben Amorim? The numbers speak louder than words. Despite spending more than £200 million on fresh firepower this summer, Brian Mbeumo, Matthias Cunha and Benjamin Sesko United have scored just 4 goals in 4 matches. For a club of this stature, that return is nothing short of embarrassing. Amorim can tell himself that these forwards will eventually settle, that the floodgates will open, but patience at Manchester United has always been in short supply. Then comes the issue of the wing-backs. At the Etihad, Amorim trusted Patrick Dorgu and Nussair Mazraoui to provide width and bite in attack. Yet between them, across 52 Premier League appearances, they have delivered just 1 assist and no goals. That is a brutal statistic for 2 players tasked with fueling an entire tactical system. Without wing-backs who can stretch and punish opponents, the 3-4-2-1 turns static, predictable and toothless. Bruno Fernandes was supposed to be the conductor of United's orchestra, the man whose incisive passing could flip defence into attack in a heartbeat. Yet under Amorim's rigid system, he is spending less and less time in the zones where his creativity can actually hurt opponents. Instead, he is trapped deeper, asked to defend spaces he simply does not read, and the punishment has been merciless. City's opener at the Etihad was the perfect example. Fernandes switched off, lost his runner, and watched Phil Foden glide past him unmarked to head in Jeremy Doku's cross. A month earlier at Craven Cottage, the same flaw resurfaced. Emile Smith-Rowe ghosted beyond him, capitalising on Fernandes' lapse in awareness to score Fulham's equaliser. These are not isolated errors, they are patterns, and the Premier League is ruthless with players who fail to learn. But the truth cuts deeper than one man. United's midfield as a whole is crumbling under Amorim. Casemiro, Manuel Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo. All 3 have qualities, but none possess the athleticism or tactical synchrony required to anchor a 2-man pivot in this league. They are too often exposed, dragged wide or left chasing shadows. The second goal against City was a textbook case. Ugarte, overeager to press young Nico O'Reilly, stepped out of position. In a blink, the red wall collapsed, and City carved through the empty channel with frightening ease. This is the core issue. Amorim's system demands more energy and balance than his midfield can supply. When the spine bends, the entire team breaks. Amorim has fallen into the cursed cycle of Manchester United, inheriting a broken football heritage and a squad that felt almost lifeless. Yet, unlike his predecessors, he has been given the tools to spark a revival, and the power now rests entirely in his hands. If he clings to his rigid system, every Premier League rival will exploit him, just as Pep did at the Etihad. But if he dares to adapt, to tweak his philosophy, there is still hope. The choice is clear: evolve or become the next victim of United's never-ending downfall.